I'm Rainey Richardson. I own a luxury interior design and remodeling firm in Houston, Texas. We are a team of 4 people. We have our construction manager and 2 lead designers and myself as principal of the firm. We do projects 3 million and up in Houston and across the United States, and we're doing our first international project. I arranged my furniture as a child in my room, and my mom was incredibly supportive when I wanted to redesign. So I went through all sorts of different phases, but I really didn't understand the whole concept of interior design. You know, we didn't have HGTV. We didn't have it in our face all of the time. We didn't have social media at the time. And so when I married very young, and I'm still married to that fella after 36 years. And so I started doing my own home, and people would come in and say, well, who designed your home? And I didn't even really understand that question. So I started to help friends. They were like, can you just help me with my bookshelves or that kind of thing? And then eventually I started charging. My first charge was $20 an hour. And I did that simultaneously while I taught school. So I taught junior high. So junior high gets out early in the day, about 2:30. So I always had a project going on. I had Christmas clients, and it just really, really blew up. Yeah. And so turned into a full-time career. When luxury clients come into our firm to meet with us, they are used to being the smartest person in the room. They're used to being an expert. And then they come into our space, and it's really disarming for them because they have no idea what to expect, what it's going to cost, what the process is going to entail. And oftentimes, they really don't know what they like and what they value in their homes because they've never been walked through the process from start to finish. And then also it's really interesting because sometimes they've been in a marriage for decades, and they really don't know what the other one likes in their living spaces and why. We can make anything look beautiful. That's the easy part. The harder part and the more technical part is really dissecting how that family unit lives. When I started to grow my business, one of the things that I knew instantaneously was that I was going to have to grow into the luxury market very quickly because it needed to be recession proof. I needed to be recession proof because I went full time in 2008 during the massive housing, meltdown. And so I started to design remodels, and it was interesting. I had clients, contractors who left with their money or decided that they were designers and put things wherever and however, or used inferior products, or the list goes on and on. And I was so infuriated because I'd worked so hard with the client to come up with this really fabulous design that they were excited about. And throughout the process, you could just see as it sort of fell apart. And it's like, oh, that's okay. I guess I can live with that. And the disappointment was really disturbing to me. So I started running my own remodeling crews, and because I wanted to have control of the finished product. And I'll never forget when a client early on said, this is fantastic because I only have one neck to choke. I mean, really successful people, right? They want one person to answer, not a bunch. And so my business really blew up, and I mean like crazy. And I was doing everything really well except for billing. I stopped billing. And because I didn't care about the money, I cared about the freedom and about the joy of creating. And so my husband said one day, are you planning on sending out invoices and I just didn't have time. And so we made the decision then that he would leave his career and come take on what I was growing on the remodel side. Sometimes in the lower price points, people just want their house done. They just want it to look good. They want people to think it looks good. For the clients that we work for, really luxury is being redefined as having what you want, where you want, when you want it. And so there's a science behind that and about dissecting, again, somebody's lifestyle, which becomes very evident in cabinetry and lighting design and storage that might not actually be cabinets, and all sorts of lounging arrangements that actually fit the needs, a place to put your drink at all times, where you make your drinks, just the list goes on and on. Having water bottles in your master bedroom at night, chilled water bottles. I mean, it just goes on and on. I can have a family that has an artwork collection that is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they don't want to spend more than $8,000 on a rug in a main living area. Then I can have a family that will put a $50,000 rug in the living area and they don't have a piece of art that's worth over a couple of $1,000s. Lindsay Root, who is sort of in charge of growing the designer base for Ferguson Home here in Houston, she knew individual people in our community and thought these people kind of have like-minded hearts and spirits and an approach towards business and don't mind sharing, right? So I don't know if I can say this, but we call it, I don't like to piss on the fire hydrant of our things, right? So if somebody asks about our contracts or our billing structure, or I'm willing to tell anybody anything, right? I will just sit down and say, I don't know if this is how you should do it, but this is how we do it and why and what we've learned. And so Lindsay got this group together and we are affectionately called the Bitches, the Design Bitches with a Z, not an S. And we have a group text and it is fantastic because there have been times when somebody is on a project and their wallpaper installer doesn't show up and they're under a time crunch, or trying to think of some of the latest questions. Who's the newest rep with this brand and do you have their email address? What do you do when a client ghosts you? You know, all the questions and things that if you're alone, and sometimes this industry can be really lonely. We get together, we try to get together once a month. Sometimes it's every 6 weeks. Answer your phone. There is such a culture, not just in our industry, but just really the human condition now is to avoid, right? If you want to work in a luxury industry, and this kind of goes back to piggyback on your question, is what do people in this price point expect? They expect responsiveness. Do they expect you to answer your phone 100% of the time? No, that's impossible, right? We're in meetings, we are doing personal things, whatever. But when you can, answer your phone. And if you don't answer your phone and someone leaves you a message, call them back. If they text you, text them back. If they email them back. If you detect that someone is frustrated, upset, or disappointed, the sooner you talk to them, the better it is. Because when somebody can hear your voice and the fact that you are a professional, that you're in control, that you know what's going on, and you've got their back, they settle down very quickly. Another thing is that I say a lot is you are going to make mistakes. So when you make mistakes, own them and tell your client how you're going to make it right, and by when. Definitely the health piece. More and more, we're used to do an occasional sauna. Now saunas are super normal. The ice baths, the red light therapy, the very dark sleeping spaces, like completely blacked out sleeping spaces. Health has really become front of mind, and I don't think that's going anywhere ever. It's also changing our floor plans and how people look at their square footage and how they value that. Gyms are not just rooms where you have a treadmill and maybe some little weights in the corner. They're very robust and well thought out and planned. I grew up a real tomboy. So I ran track. I was in ROTC. I was battalion commander of my ROTC, and I was national archery champion. So I traveled all over the United States shooting bow and arrow. And so I'm very much a girly girl. I love fashion and all things girly, and I think people would be surprised to learn that about me.